Welcome students in the class of Political Science today. I, Jinu Dingra, is here to facilitate you. Students, I will tell you, we are having two books in political science. First book, part A, the name of the book is Indian Constitution at Work. And the second book we are having, which is known as a part B, the name of the book is Political Theory. Now we will start our first chapter, which is from part A, and the name of the chapter is Constitution, Why and How, and Philosophy of the Constitution. So students, we will start our chapter with the definition of Constitution. The Constitution of a country is a document consisting of the supreme laws of that country which decide the composition, powers and functions of the government. There is also a mention about the rights and duties of the citizen in it. It is according to the Constitution that the government of the country is formed and its work is conducted. Before going ahead, we will definitely talk about the preamble. The preamble is a summary of the objectives and the basic philosophy of the Constitution. The preamble to the Constitution mirrors the spirit of the Constitution. The preamble serves the purpose of a window through which we peep into the intentions of the makers of the Constitution. In short, the preamble is a summary of the objectives, basic philosophy of the Constitution. It helps in the interpretation of the Constitution. The preamble serves another purpose. It enables the people to assess and evaluate the performance of the government in the light of the objectives laid down into the preamble. Students, now we will talk about some salient features of our Indian Constitution. It is in front of us. Like the first one is the lengthiest constitution. Yes, Indian Constitution is a written constitution. It is the lengthiest constitution in the world. It has 395 articles and schedules. It is a book of more than 250 pages. Second, we are having preamble. Yes, preamble tells us that the Indian Constitution is a sovereign, democratic and republic. We will talk about in brief about sovereign, democratic and republic here. Sovereign, like the preamble to the Indian Constitution declares India to be a sovereign republic. It signifies the following facts, like India has attained full status of independent statehood. India is free to conduct her internal and external affairs as she deems desirable. India is no longer under subjugation of any foreign power. India's membership of Commonwealth of Nations does not compromise her status as a sovereign republic. We will talk about India as a democratic here also. India can be called a democratic state in the following ways. The first one is the ultimate source of political and constitutional authority in India is vested with the people. Periodical elections are held on the basis of adult franchise here. Equality, the basic principle of a democratic form of government, is adhered to. Citizens of India enjoy fundamental rights which are clearly enumerated in the Constitution. These rights are justifiable. Rule of law we are also having, which is very essential feature of Indian democratic state. We'll talk about India as a republic also. India is a republic. Like the head of the state is the President of India. He is elected by the elected members of the parliament and state assemblies after every 5 years. His post is not a hereditary like the King or Queen of England. Next we are having people's own government. Yes, like it provides citizens to have a form of government which is of the people, by the people and for the people. People have to elect their own representatives. Next we are having the fundamental rights and the directive principles of state policies. In our constitution, Indian citizens have been provided with 6 fundamental rights: the establishment of social and economic democracy and for the welfare of its citizens. Some directives have been given to the central and the state governments also. Next we are having the fundamental duties. By the 42 amendment in 1976, 10 fundamental duties have been also incorporated in the Indian Constitution. Indian Constitution is also a blend of flexibility and rigidity. The Indian Constitution like it has articles as change in the name of any state or in the boundaries, etc., are amended by a simple majority of the parliament. Some articles are amended by 2/3 majority of the members of the house present, but the clear majority of the total members of the parliament. But some important articles of the constitution can be amended by only 2/3 majority of those present and voting in each house, and the resolution has to be ratified by at least half of the state legislatures. And the last we are having secularism. As per the principle of secularism, the government must be impartial towards all the religions followed by its citizens. The state can't have a bias or inclination towards any particular religion. After discussing the salient features of Indian Constitution, we will talk about its Constituent Assembly and making of Indian Constitution. A Constituent Assembly framed the Constitution of our country. There were 308 members in it. The Constituent Assembly unanimously elected Dr. Rajendra Prasad as its chairman, who afterward became the first independent president of our India. Shri B.N. Rai was the constitutional advisor of the Constituent Assembly. The Assembly constituted a drafting committee which consisted of 7 to 8 members. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was the chairman of the drafting committee. The Constituent Assembly had set itself for the task of preparing a constitution of free India. It started meeting on 9 December 1946. The drafting committee under the chairmanship of B.R. Ambedkar completed its work on 26 November 1949. The Constitution of India came into force on 26 January 1950 when India became a republic. Every year we celebrate 15 August as a Independence Day and 26 January as a Republic Day. The task of assembly was outlined by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru in his speech moving the objectives resolution in on 13 December 1946. In the resolution proposed, the assembly expressed its firm and solemn resolve to proclaim India as an independent sovereign republic comprising British India, Indian princely states and other territories willing to be constituted into the independent sovereign India. The assembly declares that justice, social, economic and political equality of status, of opportunity and before the law, freedom of expression, thought, belief, faith, worship, vocations, association and action shall be granted and secured to all the peoples of India. Students, here I will also quote, this assembly was roughly composed along the lines suggested by the cabinet mission. After the partition, those members who were elected from territories which fell under Pakistan ceased to be the members of the Constituent Assembly. The number in the assembly were reduced to 299, of which 284 were actually present on 26 November 1949 and appended their signature to the constitution as finally passed. Although the members of the assembly were not elected by universal suffrage, there was a serious attempt to make the assembly a representative body. 26 members were from scheduled caste classes. Members of all religions were given representation. In terms of political parties, the Congress occupied 80% seats in the assembly. Congress itself was a party which had managed to accommodate almost all shades of opinion within it. The assembly met for 166 days, spread over 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. Its sessions were open to the press and the public alike. Students, at last I want to tell you this chapter contains 3 videos and the next topics we will cover in our second video. Thank you so much.